And that music always cuts off so quickly, and I just want to kind of keep grooving to it. But uh good evening everyone. I am so glad that you guys could join us. Let's see who we've got in the comment section. We've got Herix80. Everybody, we are excited. We've got Alex Russell here, and he is going to be sharing with us a little bit about a brand that you might not have heard about. But I'm starting to hear their name creep up more and more within the detailing community. And I've actually worked with one of their coatings, and what I'm seeing, I'm very impressed. And I'm looking forward to working with more of their products. Guys actually sent me a bunch of your products that I'm going to be reviewing on my channel, Attention to Details. But excited to have you guys here. Excited to be hanging out with Alex Russell. Just to give you guys some context, Alex and I actually met a few years ago at the Creator Summit in Chicago.
Yeah.
You actually have your own podcast, correct?
Yeah, kinda.
Kinda,
It's on
kinda.
a pause.
It's on
It's
a
on a
pause.
pause.
You're
Yeah,
on a
yeah,
sabbatical. We'll say that.
yeah, yeah. I'm taking
What
some
is your
time off.
podcast name?
So it's the Detail Solutions podcast, and it's pretty much everywhere that you can find podcasts: Apple, Spotify, uh, iHeartRadio, Google Play, on and on and on.
Well, you've been one of the leading detailing podcasts for several years. I honestly, after doing this for a little over like half of a year, we do one a
Uh-huh.
week. I don't know how you do it. Honestly, like my brain is getting to a point where I'm like, I don't know what else to
Well,
talk about,
not
how to make it, like, how do we reinvent the wheel? Like,
yeah. Now you know why I'm taking a sabbatical. And for the longest time, I was doing two a week. I would do Wednesdays. We would do a live, kind of similar to this, on our discussion page and on YouTube or on Facebook, and then I would do a recorded, um, I guess like a Q&A kind of style with detailers.
well, all I know is that I've realized that there is a gift for those that can handle podcasting. I don't know if I per se feel like I have that gift. People keep telling me they're enjoying the show, so we must be doing something right.
Oh, you're doing
Um,
good.
but at
You,
this
you-
point, I just consider it like I'm hanging out with friends and we're having
yeah.
a conversation. That was one thing when you and I were talking. You're like, that's just kind of where your podcast is kind of turned into, just kind of conversational and getting to know one another and talking shop. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping to do tonight.
Yeah.
Um, but before we get started, and I know we've got Drago's Detailing, Steve Pearson, Yum Cars, a
Hey,
bunch of people
everybody.
already jumping into the chats that if you guys have questions for Alex about AquaTek, even just about Alex in general, make sure you put those questions in the comment section. But for those
Yeah.
that aren't familiar with who you are, would you mind giving us a quick rundown of how you got your start in detailing, like what it is that you do nowadays for detailing, and we'll
Mhm.
just go from there.
So we gotta hop in the Wayback Machine. I actually started. Don't don't think badly of me, everybody. But I actually started in the car wash industry
A
way,
lot of
way
people
back
do.
in 1995.
Way back.
I had a yeah I had a buddy who was a manager of a car wash. I needed to exit the job that I was at very quickly because I was working for a girlfriend's father, and we had broken up. And as much as he wanted me to still work for him, I did not want to work there anymore.
I
So
don't like
off,
uncomfortable
yeah, off to the car wash I
experience.
went.
I would
My
rather
my buddy,
clean crap out of a car than be
yeah,
around this girl
yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
Wow. That
pretty
tells you
much,
how tense it
yeah,
was.
exactly. So my buddy who was the manager, he wanted me to come in and kind of be, he wanted to groom me to be a supervisor, manager, like that type of thing. I'm not a very like authoritative type person in a way. I'm very calm, laid back. Most everybody who knows me knows that.
Never would have guessed
I really liked the detailers, what they were doing. They were like kind of the kings of the car wash. Back in '95, these guys were making huge commissions off every job that they were doing. They were going home with like $100 a day in tips. I mean, like it was nuts. And so like I gravitated more towards that. So that's where I got my start in detailing. I started at the car wash. I eventually ended up working my way up to becoming a manager of a car wash, or detail manager of a car wash, and then from there into assistant manager. And then I found some guys who had opened up a car wash. They were like 2 years into it. They were managing it themselves and kind of didn't really know exactly what they were doing. They needed somebody who had experience, and so they hired me. And then I ran car washes for like the next, good Lord, like 15 years after that. Um, the last car wash that I was doing management work for, I was kind of in charge of this. The last one was I was in charge of the sales, like the greeters and the detail shop. And so like that's kind of how I got paid, because I wasn't like the actual manager, but I needed manager pay. So we worked out a way where I got commission based off of sales through the car wash and through the detail shop for multiple locations. Well, they sold to a big company called Mr. Car Wash. Mr. Car Wash comes in and says, "Hey, we don't do detailing. We're gonna nix that department."
And we
And
just destroy cars.
yeah, yeah, and and
We
I
have
raised
them
my
here in
hand and was
Lancaster.
like, "What do I do then?" And they said, "Well, we'll find something for you." And the whole reason why I had taken that position with that car wash at the time was because that's when Haley was like 4. You know how it is when kids get to be 4, they're actually
Hmm.
fun to be around at that point. Like you can actually do stuff with them.
They like
Um,
being around you.
right, right, exactly. And I was kind of
I miss
tired of
those
working.
days.
Yeah, I know, I do too. Now she hates being around me almost. But I hated working that 7:30 to 6:30, 7:30 to 7 o'clock, and I wanted time with her. So that's why I did that. And so when I raised my hand and they said, "We'll find something for you," I knew that meant going back to management. And so I talked with my wife, and I said, "Hey, look, I think, I've learned this paint correction thing, because I before they sold the car wash, I had actually got them to buy Rupes machines. Like we switched from rotaries to DAs. We were doing things a lot more of the newer style or the newer technique of detailing versus the old school, rotary cut and buffs and waxes and whatever. And I said, I think I could do this on my own. So my wife said, if that's what you think. So I was very lucky that the owners of the car wash, we had been friends for so many years. I'd worked on and off for them, managing different locations, that they told me, look, tell everybody you're leaving and give them your number and take whoever you want. So I was able to basically get fired on a Monday, kind of. I was supposed to come back and get rehired on Tuesday. I didn't. On Wednesday, I started my own shop already with business.
Wow.
And then that was in 2015. So for the last 10 years, I've been growing Detail Solutions Auto Spa. That's my company. So when you think of the podcast name, it's just laziness. It was just, let's remove the auto spa and put a podcast on there.
I'm right there with you.
But
Attention to details with Chelsea. That's my
right,
bit. I
but
couldn't think of
here's the
anything
thing.
else.
The whole reason I named it Detail Solutions Auto Spa was a buddy of mine actually gave me the idea when we were still at the car wash. He said Detail Solutions, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. And he goes, because you're the solution to detailing, right? And so it still kind of works for the podcast. It's a podcast about detailed solutions. Like how do we, you know, navigate this industry? How do we come up with solutions? So while it's kind of like, I didn't put a lot of thought and effort into it, there was a lot of thought and effort into the auto spa, and it makes sense for the podcast. So yeah, for the last 15 years I've been running my shop.
Is it
It's
just you?
just
Do you have
me.
employees?
Nope, it's just me. Alan Medcraft, the great Alan Medcraft. If you're ever listening to this, I miss you. I love you. Um,
AM
he
details?
yeah, yeah, he was the one that really kind of helped me understand that my business is a lifestyle, a business for me. Meaning I do just enough to keep me in the lifestyle that I want to be in. I
Hmm.
mean, obviously, I'd like to be in a bigger lifestyle, but that would
Wouldn't we
mean.
all?
Right, but then that would mean growing it
Less
more, having
quality of
employees.
life.
Right. right. And I've always, talked about that work-life balance, and
Hmm.
especially being older now, I can't burn the candle at both ends like a lot of the young guys getting in. I'm not going to be at my shop till 3 a.m. to get a car done in one day so I can get the next one in the next day, right? Like I'm fine taking 3 days on a car. Like, I'm good with that. Um, so yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at with the shop. I mean, it does what it needs to do. And I grow it a little bit. I don't grow it a bunch, but I do take in new clients. But a core of my clientele is people that have been with me since I left the car wash 10 years ago.
So, what is it that you specialize in at your shop? Do you do a lot of,
Detailing. I am not. I listen.
but do you do interiors? Do you
Money,
focus? He's like,
money.
whatever you
No.
pay me to do, I
Whatever you
will
pay
do
me.
it.
Listen, I
But
did two
I'm
motorcycle
trying to get
washes.
at very
I
subtly here your
I know
skill at
coding,
paint
corrections and
correction. No, no,
coatings.
no,
Yeah,
paint correction.
yes.
You
Listen,
are
paint.
extremely good at paint correction, and I
Oh,
don't
thank you.
think people give
I'm
you the
okay at it.
accolades. I've seen some of the work, even some of the competitions that you've been in.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm okay
everyone
with it.
always talks about Aaron Knox and how, and like, you're right there with him, bro.
Listen, I was nicknamed many years ago by somebody way smarter than me that I am the guy that's better than Aaron Knox. So I take
Were you
that
the
and I
one that
and I
gave
run
that
with.
nickname to
No, no,
you?
actually, it was Jason Brennan when he was working at Lake Country. Now he's with was it Marine Detail? Sorry, Jason, if you listen to this, I'm butchering it. It's basically the company that owns Stark,
Okay.
the Marine Detail like distribution or whatever. No, he actually gave it to it. Him and Levi Gates. I was at MTE, and they were both in the Rad Company booth, and I was walking by, didn't know Jason at the time, and he grabbed me by the shirt. And he's like, "Hey, aren't you that guy that's better than Aaron Knox?" And I was like, "Yes, sir, I am."
Put it on a t-shirt, wear it loud and proud.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So no,
awesome.
I mean, obviously, paint corrections and coatings is what I would prefer to do. Um, but these days, with the economy kind of being the way it is, like I'll take whatever. I mean, I did two motorcycle washes today. Guy called me yesterday, and they were from Canada, rode the bikes down here from Las Vegas,
Was he from
and
Saskatchewan?
yeah, and I didn't have anything to do today, so I was like, all right, I'll go make a couple $100, washing some motorcycles. I mean, it took me like 2 hours to do two motorcycles. They were blown away. They're staying down here for the winter, so he said, hey, I'm gonna save your number and we'll hit you up when we need it again. I was like, perfect.
Well, what area do you live in?
So I'm in Central Florida. I'm just
Okay.
north of Orlando. I'm kind of like right in between Orlando and Daytona Beach.
Okay.
So I'm kind of north Central Florida area.
So you're near Noxie now.
I am exactly from my garage to Avant-Garde's parking lot. It is exactly 1 hour. It's too
Are they
close.
going to be sending me any products anytime soon?
I have no idea.
He teased me so bad on that podcast episode. He's like, I'm going to send you stuff. I haven't seen
Yeah,
anything. For those of you that are curious, I haven't seen anything yet. Stay
yeah.
tuned.
They
But
they have
anyways,
some pretty cool stuff though.
it it
And
is it
he's
is
done a good job.
intriguing. It is
Yes.
intriguing. But
Yeah.
I think I've become more skeptical with detailing products over the years that I want to put them through the rigor first before I kind of like
Yeah.
go forth.
I,
But
I got the opportunity to go over there and do everything that he did on video, so I can say that it works.
okay. Well, I'll take your word for it because I know you
Yeah.
do some freaking awesome work. Anyway, so what I was getting at, okay,
Yeah.
you're an extremely gifted detailer. You've been doing this for many years, many decades at this point.
Yeah.
What made you, when you've done Detailing Solutions podcast and you've talked to a ton of different brands, you've probably tried out a ton of different brands like I have over the years. What made you say AquaTek is a company that I want to get behind?
Oh man. Um, so the whole thing with Aquatech is kind of a funny story. So one day I get a Facebook Messenger from Mike Cardenas, who is one of the founders of Aquatech, and he just hit me up. He's like, "Hey man, I've been listening to the podcast. I really enjoy it. Come to find out, he's a guitar player. I used to play guitar. That's why you see the guitar hanging up back there. We're both big Van Halen fans, 80s hair metal fans or whatever. So we just clicked. We had a phone call. I called him and we just clicked. Became friends. I don't know. This was 6, maybe 7 months before AquaTek was released.
Sorry,
Yeah, yeah, 6.
sorry,
Yeah.
I had
Dang
to.
it.
You
You
set
caught
that
me.
one up for
I didn't, I fell right
Don't hate
for
me,
it.
guys. I have a 13-year-old
Yeah.
old son. That's all I hear.
I do too, and I can't even believe I didn't catch myself saying it.
I was like,
Um, yeah. So, anyways, it was about that amount of time before Aquatech was even launched. So Mike and I became friends, and one day I get a package from this company called Aquatech. I'm like, what the heck is this? And it's bottles with like label maker labels, that just say singular
cool.
GT.
I know exactly what to do
And
with this.
yeah, 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 exactly. So Mike hits me up and he goes, "Hey," he's like, "You should have got some stuff." I said, "Yeah." I was like, "What is this?" He goes, "Me and my partner Jason." He goes, "We started our company, and he's like, would you just try it?" At the time, I was C Corps Professional certified.
Okay.
It took me forever to get C Corps Professional certified. I was happier than a pig in mud that had finally gotten it. It's a great coding. So I was like, yeah, I mean, whatever, I'll try it out. And I did. I did the typical detailer thing. I offered it to some good clients. I said, hey, look, guinea pig, I'll do a coding like really cheap for you.
Hmm.
I tried to do it to a couple of my clients that, um, I see on a regular basis, so that way I could kind of keep track of it. And it just, it's single layer. Like I could just do one layer and walk away from it. Like you kidding me? And I started noticing that, because I was kind of using it as my more budget friendly coding. Because with Sequence Professional, like here in Central Florida, there was four of us installers, and Corey had a map pricing for us, so we couldn't go under it. And it was pretty high, but like not crazy at the time. But I thought like, okay, well, I could offer Aquatech. Again, I'm only doing a single layer, so it's less labor time. I could offer it, $500 cheaper. And if I could sell that, you know, versus the other one, the Sequence Professional, then I'm not missing out, right? I'm not missing a job because Sequence Professional maybe is too expensive. And what I noticed was it was, performance level was there. It really, really worked. And so I really started using both. I would kind of, give options. Hey, I've got C Quartz Professional, which is a 2-year plus coding, or I could do this 5-year coding. And started bringing Aquatech to the same level of price point of what I was charging for C Quartz Professional. And okay, so I'm going to pay, $2,000 for a 2-year plus, or I'm going to pay $2,000 for a 5-year. Like, I'm gonna go 5-year. So
Yeah.
I
And
started
it's single
working.
layer. It's easier for you to install.
Right, right, exactly. So I started selling more of that. Um, and so that was, um, so let's see. So Aquatech launched October of 22. It was July of 23, and I remember this because it was right before I went to AFO. I had started calling some people, friends in the industry, asking advice about how to get hired with a brand. I was like, I'm getting older. I need to start figuring out how do I get out of the shop? How do I get in with a brand? One of the people I talked to is the great Ronnie Doyle. He's like, look, man, when you come out here, he's like, I'll introduce you to everybody here if you want. We'll get you set up. I talked with Sarah from Rupes. She was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. Why are you gonna offer me a job? And she goes, depends, whatever. Um, but I quickly realized with Rupes, it's not as fun as everybody thinks it is. You travel like 20 days out of the month, and I was like, man, I can't be away from my family, for 20 days out of the month. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't work. And I called Mike and was just at kind of picking Mike's brain because Mike had worked for Ceramic Pro. He helped start Hydrosilic. He was doing stuff with Sonax. So he'd been around, and I was picking Mike's brain, and he was like, "Man, we'd love to hire you, but we're still too new. We're not even paying ourselves." And I was like, "Well, dude, I'm not calling you asking for a job." And like 2 days later, I get a call from Mike, and he patches Jason in. And at that point, Jason and I had talked a little bit, but we hadn't really talked a whole lot. And they just said, "Hey, look, we would like to offer you a sales role with us. We can't pay you a salary or anything, but we'll pay you 100% commission, or not 100% commission, but we'll pay you commission based.
Yeah.
And we'll give you product, and we'll whatever. We need you to help us grow this. So technically, my title with Aquatech is brand development slash sales rep. Because again, they wanted me to help them grow the brand. So I was like, well, what does it hurt? Like I make some free. I always call it free money because it's I get paid when people buy stuff, so it's free. I'm not having to go out there and sell it, ring it up, whatever. My installers buy stuff, I get a commission for it, so it's free money. I figured, what the heck, can't go wrong. So that was July of 23. I started with Aquatech, and and I haven't really looked back since. It's a great coating. I've been able to help develop the newer products since then. I've been able to help grow the brand and be an ambassador for the brand and all the things. I've gotten to travel to a couple of different trainings that we've done. I've got to go to a distributor and spend a weekend with them, kind of being, brand on site. So it's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Now,
Yeah,
what do you think makes Aquatech unique? Like, we've got an extremely saturated market at this point,
yeah.
and what is it that drew you to their products that kind of set them apart from other brands? And I'm gonna actually bring up. We're gonna split the stage here.
Yeah.
We're gonna go
So the
to
the first thing you'll notice is the colors. Colors,
yeah.
colors, right? Um, being a kid of the 80s, a child of the 80s, like I instantly was like, dude, nobody's doing pink and teal, right?
Mhm.
I mean, Ceramic Pro has pink, but it's more of a hot pink. Nobody else is doing teal. And that just the whole South Beach Miami vibes, just that whole Miami Vice, kind of thing just clicked for me. I really liked that. The thing I really liked, I mean, obviously, like I just said, right, the single layer deal, and
Mhm.
at the time, most coatings were dual layers or double layers. It's since in the past, 3 or 4 years or whatever, has started to change, and everybody's kind of progressing to more of a single layer kind of deal. But with Aquatech, it was more of how easy it was to install.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, what do you mean by easy? Because coatings are coatings, right?" Yes and no. I mean, our stuff, it flashes so fast. In the beginning, I didn't fully understand. And with every other coating, it's like, okay, well, when it flashes, you wipe it off, right? So, I mean, our stuff flashes so fast. I mean, you could literally wipe it on and wipe it off. In fact, I think that was one of the things Eddie and Jamie told me at MTE earlier this year when they saw Mike do a demo of it. They were like, dude, I can't believe how fast you could wipe it on and wipe it off and have that slickness and everything. So that was kind of the thing that sold it for me was just how easy it was to use. Even if you let it sit up and bond, it flashes real fast. You let it sit up and you let it bond and you give it a minute or two, or depending on the climate, sometimes I've gotten 6 minutes plus before I level it. and it still wipes. I have never, in all the coatings I've done with AquaTek, I've never let it sit too long where I've had to go get a polisher and polish it off and restart, like with a lot of other coatings that I've done.
Now, have you ever had streaking if you let it go too long?
I have not. I have
Okay.
not.
I can't tell you
Um,
how many times I've had like higher solids content or higher solids coatings.
yeah.
And I don't know if it's because of humidity in the air. I even said that, I was having some issues with some, and he said that I was putting it on too thick.
Hmm.
I don't know if that was the case, but there have been so many that you let it sit too long. And have you ever experienced this with a coating where you level it, but when you shine a light on it, you just see like streaks, but it's
Haze.
not
Yeah.
high spots?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of
Have
like
you?
hazy and streaky. Yeah, I have. I have. I haven't with ours.
Good, because I hate that.
Um, yeah, and that's the thing. Like with our coatings, I've also, I you know, when I went to training for C Corps professional training with Noxie, and he taught me to lay heavy. So I've always been a heavy tilted pour, with my
Okay.
coatings. I mean, a 50 ml bottle, some guys will be like, oh, I can get like 5 cars out of that. And I'm like, good Lord, like on average I can get two. There have been some instances where I've used the whole 50 ml bottle on a car, just because I'm heavy-handed with it. Um, so yeah, I mean the thing that really I feel stands out for us is the fact that it is so easy to apply. The other thing is that it's definitely durable. I mean, one of the greatest things I ever heard that gave me extreme confidence in this coding was actually SEMA of 23. So I was like 6 months in, and I went to the System X party at Counts Customs, and I saw Rain and Tommy from Angel Wax. They're friends, and
Just
Tommy's asking
name
me,
dropping left and right
yeah,
here.
yeah. Yeah,
Rennie,
whatever.
Sarah.
Yeah, yeah. But no, but I mean, it helps with the story. So I mean, Tommy was obviously, happy for me. He was asking me, and Rain's like, "Hey, man, you guys have a good coding." And I know Rain. Rain doesn't sugarcoat anything. Like, it doesn't matter if you guys are best friends. If your stuff is trash, he'll tell you it's trash. And so, like, I didn't know what he meant. I was just kind of like, thanks, man, appreciate it. And he goes, no, 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 no. He goes, you don't know how good your coding is, apparently. And I was like, well, inform me, enlighten me. So Rain told me he was at a detail shop in Ohio where he lives. One of our installers had coded a pickup truck with Singular, which is our 6-year coding, our high solid, super heavy duty coding. Well, it had a couple of rock chips on it, and the touch-up guys there were trying to do touch-up paint, but obviously the paint would stick to the coating. So the guys are trying to buff the coating off, and they can't get it. No matter what they throw at it, the paint still won't stick. So Rain being Rain says, "Hold my beer." I don't know if that was figuratively or literally. That's just how he told the story. He grabs a rotary, a wool pad, and some angel wax, like extreme resurrection heavy cut. He said he did like 6 or 7 passes. Paint still wouldn't stick to it. He told them, he said, have fun, get the wet sandpaper out.
I
So
don't know if I would want to work with that coating because
so that's that's how
high
so
spot.
that's after full cure,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So that's just how durable our coatings are. So now I told that to 3 other installers who were signing on. So look, our coatings no joke. Rain couldn't get it off with a rotary. I mean, because everybody's like, oh, I orange pad and
Yep,
insert any polish and it'll strip a coating off. And I'm like,
yep.
not gonna happen. All 3 of those guys, for some reason or another, decided to test it, aka by doing a coating and then selling a PPF job afterwards. All 3 of those guys basically had to scuff it with 2000 grit, polish it back out to get the PPF to stick. So
Wow.
I tell people our stuff's super easy to use. It's
But
for
it's
me, I
really
feel
hard to remove.
it's really hard to remove. Don't, F it up. after full cure. Again, this is 2 weeks plus full cure, right? So I mean, like in between there, I mean, next day I've caught high spots. I've been able to just, you know, hit it with a little bit of polish or something and not knock the high spot off like you would with any other coating or whatever. But that's also the beauty of our coating is I feel like it's so easy to level that I feel like it's hard to like how do you miss? Like unless you're just sloppy with your wipe down, right?
Well,
If
I
you
put
are
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say if you are doing your leveling like you should, I feel like it's almost impossible to leave a high spot with our stuff.
I put select on my Subaru, which is your light version. So
Yes.
you have what's your pro grade one? What's the name of
So
that again?
so singular is the
Okay.
6 year pro grade. Select is the consumable version of that. So it's basically the same formula, just tweaked to be easier for people that don't have as much experience or aren't as confident with it.
And that's what, a 2 to 3 year ceramic?
It's a 3 year coding.
Okay. Well, I'm at about a year and a half, and
Hmm.
it's literally side by side with Pan's 3 year ceramic. And I think what I love about it is it sheets and it beads. Like if you flood it, it sheets beautifully
Yeah,
and it sheets very quickly, but it was super easy to install. So like
yeah,
I'm hoping to do a video review on Select. You and I were talking. I'm debating putting it on my husband's truck because his truck is so big and it's exhausting just to prep it that I
yeah.
don't want to have coating put on there that is just difficult to work with, because by the time
Exactly.
I'm done
Yeah,
prepping it, I'm like, "Ugh, I got
right.
nothing left." But I've realized with his truck, black Chevy paint, like anything more than 3 years, honestly, I'm gonna need to polish
Yeah.
to clean up the paint. I don't want to have to wet sand to remove it. So I think Select is the way to go.
Yeah, Select's probably the way to go. Yeah.
So stay
And it,
tuned for that video, guys, because
yeah,
I think
yeah,
I'm going to be doing the AquaTek Select on his truck, and then we'll be able to give you guys real world updates. But a year and a half on the Subaru without being topped,
yeah.
without really being babied or maintained, it's doing fantastic. Every time
Yeah.
you watch them, you're like speeding through the video, be like,
Yeah,
"How's
I
Select
do. I
doing?"
do
And I'm
because
like,
no offense to everybody else,
"You don't care. You don't
I
care,"
just want to make sure our coding is still performing and it doesn't
and it
Chelsea's
is.
like, "Well, it finally failed." And I'm like, "Urgh," you know.
No, year and a
So
half,
yeah,
and I honestly I didn't think it would do as well as it has, and it looks on par. Like, I have been very
yeah.
impressed with Pan's ceramic coatings. Like, everyone, I think, his 3 year, 8 year, they're like, "What?" So if it's on par,
Yeah.
and even, like, what I like about it, the beads are bigger.
Yeah.
Like, they're not like little tiny beads, which to me helps, in my mind, reduce the risk of water spots.
Yes.
Um, but it's just really nice big beads, just beautiful. So
Right.
I'm
And like
excited
you
to
said,
to test it out.
it's a little bit of a our stuff is a little bit of a mix of hydrophobic and hydrophilic
Mhm.
because it will bead in areas that are flat, but areas where it's going to run, it sheets more than anything. And the other thing about our coatings is that drew me to it as well is when Jason and Mike decided to do this, they went to Japan to look for a coating because most of the Japanese coatings that I've ever heard of are better
Yeah.
than anything else. And it's not a knock on, any of the other coating brands, but
No, I would agree.
the coatings that come out of Japan just seem to be stronger, more durable, a little bit more hydrophilic than hydrophobic, Um, so that's the one thing that I love that they did. I love that they found a chemist in Japan that could make a coating. They went through, however many different variations of it until they got it to where they wanted it. And it, it is, for us, I mean, I'm not saying that they don't make coatings for other people or whatever, but these are for us. So, we're not just slapping a label on somebody else's product and calling it ours. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's plenty of great manufacturers out there that make awesome products that You could, I mean, realistically, if I wanted to tomorrow, I could go and start Detail Solutions chemical brand or whatever. And there's a lot of great companies out there that I could, slap a label on that's probably already making something for somebody else. But that is one of the things that I like is the coatings are for us. They're not something that's, coming out of the same factory that a lot of the other ones are. And I just feel like it gives it a better durability that way.
Yeah. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a
Yeah.
little break. We're going to
Okay.
come back. I want to talk a little bit more about some of your other products other than
Yeah.
coatings, but I know you guys have glass coatings, wheel coatings, but you also have some maintenance products. Maybe talk about some off-label uses if there are any with your products. Maybe share some tips and tricks, and then we'll just kind of keep going from there. Okay.
Yeah. Let's rock and roll.
All right, guys. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in about 2.5 minutes. So sit tight.
When it comes to protecting leather seats, what are some products that I would recommend as a professional detailer? Well, historically, people have always used kind of a two-step system to maintain leather. Step one, leather cleaner. Step two, leather conditioner. But realistically, most modern day leathers, they're not real leather. They actually have a clear coat over top of them, similar to like the clear coat we have on our paint. And they're not going to really benefit or absorb conditioners. Oftentimes, they just kind of being absorbed by your clothing, getting smeared around, attracting dust, and leaving behind a greasy finish. So what do I recommend to protect leather seats with? Well, we have two options. We have leather coatings, and those actually are very similar to the ceramic coatings that we put on our paint, but they're a little bit more breathable, a little bit more flexible. They last anywhere from 1 to 2 years. You would apply it and it can actually give you UV protection, hydrophobic protection, be easier to clean, help prevent sunscreen staining, blue jean transfer, and on this vegan white leather can actually do a ton to protect the white leather seats. But my issue with those is that there's no real way to remove them. And over time, as you go in and out of the vehicle, where you applied it, it's going to be thinner on the outside, and you can actually sometimes see some applicator marks. So you can refresh them, but for those people that don't reapply a leather coating after it has started to kind of wear off, it doesn't look the best. And so I actually recommend using a product like this. This is actually DIY Details, their interior ceramic. Now this is going to last you about 6 months, be a little bit more affordable, but this is a great way to maintain leather seats. Looks more natural, wears more natural, but it's going to give you hydrophobic protection, UV protection, and prevent staining from blue jeans as well as sunscreen. So for those of you that are looking for a way to protect your leather seats, I recommend this product.
Application couldn't be easier with this product. After thoroughly cleaning the seats, we're going to pick one section of the seat, either the top or the bottom, and we're going to apply in a crosshatch pattern. Then you come in with your microfiber towel and just level until you have an even appearance. You want to avoid sitting on the seats for about an hour just to let it cure, but you can do all of your armrests, your center consoles, any high-touch areas that are prone to heavy soiling to make maintenance easier and prevent staining. After applying, you can see we have a beautiful, fresh appearance and hydrophobic protection to make cleaning up spills a ton easier. But there you have it, interior ceramic, one of my favorites to protect leather seats with. Literally had to kick us out of the stage. I don't know why that commercial did that, but we're back. Sometimes I love the commercials and sometimes I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
we're back. But anyways, so we were talking a little bit and I saw in the comment section, I just wanted to kind of address this. So Conway was saying something about let's use the term hydrophobic and hydrophilic correctly because you were saying it beads and it sheets.
Hmm.
And I think that I actually, do you know Robert Sorensen? Are you familiar with him?
No.
Bobby. But anyways, he works for Thor. He did a kind of a educational piece. He likes to do these. You remember back in the day where Reddit had forums and people would
Yeah.
actually like talk about detailing? I feel like Bobby is bringing that back. But he did a kind of a forum where he was talking about how hydrophilic is where the surface actually loves water and it sticks to it like a magnet, whereas hydrophobic is it repels it. And I think a lot of times I've done this in the past myself. I want to believe that he's actually correct. Um, Hydrophilic is where it floods and it sticks. Hydrophobic, obviously, it repels it. But when we use the term sheeting, I think we're thinking hydrophilic, where it's sheeting. Um, so I just think it's
Yeah. So so in my research, and again, I could be wrong. As Forrest Gump once said, I'm not a smart man. But yes, so hydrophobic is obviously the fear of water. So when we're talking hydrophobics, that's where we get that beating effect that everybody loves to see.
Hmm.
What I've found with hydrophilic is, I mean, you're kind of right where it like loves the water and it sticks to it, but with a coating, it's where when it's because it's trying to stick to it and not bead, but the coating has such a high slickness surface that it sheets off, and that's why you kind of get that flatness that you're talking about, but that it runs off or sheets off. And so, yes, you're probably right with the hydrophilic flatting, but it's also that high surface tension area that's making it so slick that then the water sheets off. So that's why we say hydrophilic sheets with a coating versus maybe hydrophilic without a coating.
Yeah. And I mean, I see what you're saying. I see what Conway's saying. I don't know
Yeah,
how to clear up the confusion because I think that's what
we probably
the
need a
industry.
chemist to join us and explain it the
Oh,
correct
I
way.
know. But
So,
it was an
yeah,
interesting conversation that Bobby kind of
yeah,
presented. And as someone who does content, I was like, I've used the term hydrophilic to describe sheeting before, but I
yeah,
guess I understand what they're saying that it loves water. And so it's going to hold on to it. But I see what you're saying.
yeah.
I
Because
don't
it's
know how to say,
it's that slickness contact angle with anything, right? So I mean, you think about hydro. Um,
you're like, now I don't know which one.
yeah. So not hydrophobic, hydrophilic. So like if you had paint that didn't have anything on it, right? Like we always say, like, oh, it's flat, it's dead, because like you're saying, right? Like the water just sticks to it and doesn't kind of go anywhere, right? But the minute you put a coating or a sealant or something that's a little more hydrophilic than phobic, that contact angle makes it so slick that yes, it's loving it, but it's running off. So that's what Google told me. So if you guys don't like,
Google is never wrong.
it's right. I mean, maybe I'll ask chat after we get off
Yeah,
this.
totally. Well, chat just basically takes what we
Yeah,
tell it and makes it
yeah,
true. So who knows?
exactly. Yeah,
But you guys get what he's saying. Okay. Anyways,
yeah,
I just
exactly.
wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, no.
I think it's an interesting conversation to continue to have within the industry, but I think a lot of it just comes down to like that's just what people are used to saying now, and whether or
Yeah.
not it's accurate or not, like we're
Yeah,
gonna start
listen,
confusing the
there's
crap out
still a
of them.
lot of terminology that I think people use wrong in the industry, so that's why it's hard to know sometimes what people are talking about. I mean, like again, in 95 when I started detailing swirls, we called swirls actual holograms, like the rotary
Mm.
holograms. That was swirling in 1995. Now
Well, we've
now
got
swirl
buff, we've got wax, we've
right.
got polish.
Right.
I
Exactly.
I
So,
remember that
yeah.
he wanted to wash and wax, and when he came to pick it up,
Yeah.
why are the scratches still there? And I'm like,
Right. Listen, in the UK, they call soap shampoo. I mean, like,
yeah. No, and I mean, there's still some like people say, these words in videos, emulsifiers, surfactants,
Yeah.
solvents. I've had to Google those many times to be like,
Yeah.
what exactly is this? Like, I feel like if you want to be involved in the detailing industry, you've got to dabble a little bit in science and chemistry. You can't. Like, the more you become
A,
passionate
a
about it,
little bit.
the
The
more of a
the
nerd you
thing
become.
the
We're all a
thing that
little bit
I
of
think
nerds.
yeah, the thing I think detailers worry too much about though is these big words like emulsifiers and surfactants and um, you know, uh whatever else, right? Um and what happens is they start talking to their clients
Mhm.
and that, right? Like, I'm going to use this product, it's got an emulsifier and a surfactant in it, and the client's just like looking at them like we look at a chemist, right? Like, we think we sound smart. The client's just like, buddy, you washing my car or what? You know?
Yeah.
And listen, I fell into that trap in the beginning. Like, I wanted to sound like I knew everything. And now I just go, look, man, your car's gonna be nice and shiny when you get it back. Like I don't go into any. I don't. Like my biggest thing is that I can't stand in this industry is the whole one step, two step, three step, or one stage, two stage, three stage. Like it's paint correction. Like correct the paint. Like it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter if I can take a yellow pad and a medium polish and correct the paint, or if I've got to get the rotary out and do, a three-step cut and buff and whatever, right? Like when I'm talking to clients, your paint's going to be corrected, and well, this guy said he's going to do a three-stage, whatever. Look, buddy, the paint's going to be corrected. It might take me one step, it might take me five. This panel could take me literally 5 minutes to polish out. This next panel could take me 20, you know.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times as detailers, we just try to talk to clients too smart. And especially like with coatings, you know, we try to explain it too much. We try to overhype it and oversell it. And again, in the beginning, I didn't know any better. I did the same thing. I was that parrot that sits on the pirate's shoulder, and I just repeated everything that the coding company told me. You know, now I tell people, look, it's just gonna help make cleaning your car easier. We have love bugs down here in Florida, which are nasty little creatures filled with acid. They sit on your car for 24 hours, and it's eaten through the paint to the metal. Okay, look,
That sounds
you
like a
come.
hate bug, not a
Right,
love bug.
right, exactly. And I tell my clients, like, look, you come home from work, you're tired, you don't want to go out there and scrub the front of your car down. What a coating's going to do is you could just take a damp towel and wipe it. Just get the bodies off of it, and you're going to be good. It makes the bird poop, wipe it off so it doesn't etch the paint. It's ease of cleaning. That's all coatings were ever really meant for, was ease of cleaning, protecting the paint from UVs like a wax would, but it just has durability. Don't oversell it. Just tell them what it is, what it does, how it's going to make their life easier, and send them on their way.
Well, we've talked a little bit about your ceramic coatings. So we've talked about
Hmm.
your pro grade coating, how literally you have to wet sand it off. Like rotary is not even going to touch it. We talked about your light ceramic coating, and reading on your website, seeing that designed to have a quick flash time, and it's supposed to be humidity friendly, which to me that's a big deal because I have higher humidity here in Pennsylvania, even though we're not Florida, we're not as high humidity. But humidity can be a killjoy for the best ceramic coating because it's going to just make it flash super fast, be super grabby and difficult. So if it's designed to work in a humid climate, to me that says it's going to be at least a step in the right direction. Beyond your coatings, what are some of the other products that you guys sell? And if someone wanted to try AquaTek out for the first time, what are some of the products you would recommend them to try out?
Yeah, so originally it started with what did it start with? It started with two coatings and a sealant. Just your typical, you know, 6 month spray on, wipe off sealant or whatever. It started with Singular and it started with GT. So Singular is our 6 year pro coating that I've already talked about. GT is our 4 year coating. It is like I refer to it as more of like a 7H, 8H style coating. It is a little bit softer or less solids, right? Um, you do get better hydrophobics with it, hydrophilics, whatever you want to call it now. You do get better gloss with it. But the reason why it was designed with lesser solvents in it was because it is a PPF vinyl friendly coating, meaning because it doesn't have those high solids and solvents in them, it's a little bit softer on the film, so it still gives that film stretch. So like if a bumper, has some give to it, it doesn't have a very hard, tight coating on it, pulling on the film when it gets bumped. It also will still allow the film to self-heal. And we've been very fortunate that we haven't really found a film yet that it doesn't really work with. Like all the major ones. Now, granted, there's a million different film companies now. We haven't tried them on everything, but the major ones, we haven't had any problems with it. Then we introduced Select, which is the 3-year coating that you tried and you're enjoying. And that was primarily because at the time Mike had been doing a lot of Ask a Pro on Detailed Image, and Greg said, "Hey, we'd love to sell it if you guys had a consumer product." So that's where we went and came back with Select. And again, it's a consumer product, but I still call it a prosumer coating because it is derived from our pro coating. It's just made user friendly for everybody, across the board. And we do have some of our pros that use it as a 3-year in their shop. They love it. We have a product called Bliss, which is something that nobody else that I know has. It's a weird product, but it's amazing. So the only way to kind of explain it is to tell you how what it does. So it is a cream-like substance that you put on the coating immediately. Okay, that's the key because everybody's used to like you got to wait 4 hours, you got to wait 12 hours before you
Mm-hmm.
put a topper on it. This stuff is panel for panel. So if you do the hood and you level it, you immediately put Bliss on the hood. And what it does is it enhances the hydrophobics of the coating. So it actually is made to bond with the coating while it's fresh, become one, and it adds a higher slickness to it. So especially for singular, which again is a higher solid solvent coating, so it usually you have to wait 2 or 3 days for that to outgas before it gets really slick. So if you want that slickness on demand, Bliss is the go-to. And it's something that again I've never seen anybody use. Everybody who's tried it is like, I've never seen anything like this. And it's literally a wax on, wax off. Like there's no flash time to it. It's you just wax it on, you wipe it right off. Um, and it really does make the surface way more slicker. In fact, I was doing some kind of sports car, I can't remember now, that had like a pretty aggressive slope on the hood. And when I was reaching across to the middle to wipe, my towel slipped and I almost face planted on the shop floor. It was that slick. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Because
Um,
I do know, like, as far as like if you want a chemically durable coating, oftentimes you either have slick or you have chemical resistance. You can't have
yes,
both.
right.
They don't
Yeah,
exist in the same bottle. So is that where you came up with that solution? We've got
pretty
chemical
much.
resistance in spades to the point where
Yes,
you're going to wet sand it off, but now if you want
yes,
slickness, use this product. Okay. Now, do you
exactly.
recommend is it Gliss?
Yes,
Do you
bliss.
recommend that for Select as well or
So you
just your
can use
pro
it on
grade?
all of our coatings,
Okay.
everything. Glass coating, wheel coating, all the coatings. So here's the beauty of Bliss that we didn't even know. A detailer tried it out for us. It will level high spots. So basically, what he did was he was doing a black Porsche 911 with Singular. On one of the doors, he left a big circle, didn't wipe it down, left a big circle, high spot, left it for about 45 minutes, covered the whole door with Bliss, and Bliss leveled that high spot out.
It maybe
So
reactivated the solvents.
yes. So
Nice.
again, as long as you're doing it in that first 45 minutes to an hour, typically, because at an hour, our coating is going to start tacking. Like if you finish coating a car and you put the applicator down, within an hour, it'll be crunchy rock hard with Singular. The other coatings not really because they don't have that high solid solvent content to them or whatever. But Singular will get rock hard on you within an hour. So as long as you're doing it before. So again, our installers like that because if they are prone to high spots, they know like if I do this panel and I level it and I immediately put Bliss over it to add the slickness and boost the hydrophobics, I know that if I cover it edge to edge, I'm going to be fine. No high spots. It's great with our wheel coating because those high gloss black wheels that's you get in the corners and then you can never really get the towel in there to level and sometimes you leave a high spot. You can go around it with Bliss and not only will it add gloss and boost the hydrophobics of the wheel coating, it'll also level up those high spots. You could put it on our glass coating. Honestly, Mike tried it, didn't have any problems with it. I don't necessarily know if it boosted the hydrophobics, but because the glass coating is pretty hydrophobic to begin with, but it did make it, a lot clearer, a lot slicker, or whatever.
Now, if you use
Um,
the cream by itself, does it have protection in it?
so yes, but here's the thing: is
Like, if
is
you
it
just want
doesn't.
slick for a few months, can you just use that?
So that's the thing, though, is realistically like without the coating. So according to the chemist, without the coating, you'd be lucky to maybe get 2 weeks out of it.
Now,
So
how
again,
much like, how long does the slickness last when you add this on top of the coatings then?
so the chemist says 6 months, and here's the part that
Okay.
I've always questioned is if it's bonding with the coating while it's fresh, right? Bonding fresh becomes one unit. How does it then wear? And I'll be honest with you, like I've got cars that are 2 years now with Singular and Bliss, and I haven't been able to tell any drop off in hydrophobics when I wash them. So I don't know. The slickness is still there. The hydrophobics are still there. It beads like crazy. The one thing I will say with Bliss, the noticeable difference between Singular with it and without it is you do get those smaller, tighter beads. It's almost like BBs instead of marbles. So it does, you can tell from there like how slicker the surface gets because you get more of like those BB style water beads than the marble styles. Um, so yeah, I mean I tell people like listen, like for how long it's going to take you to essentially go around and hand wax a car, like it's kind of not worth it for, I mean even if it lasted a month, right? Like we have excellent spray waxes that'll last 3 months plus that you could do way faster, like
Yeah.
than applying it by hand and leveling it off, panel by panel. Um, so yeah, and then like kind of to finish the line, so then we go into Clarity, which is our glass coating. And it's different than most glass coatings. It's the kind that freaks detailers out because as soon as you put it on, it hazes,
Okay.
and you have to let it sit for like 20 minutes minimum before you
Okay.
level it, and you actually have to use moisture because you're not wiping it dry. It's just not going to come off. You'll tear a rotator cuff. But the minute you spritz it with a little bit of water, or if you have like a damp towel and do like that wet towel, dry towel method, it's like hot knife through butter, comes off. Um,
I am intrigued now. I
yeah,
mean, I don't wanna try it, but I kinda wanna
it's
try
it's
it.
so. I mean, like once you
How
know
long does
that,
that
it's
last?
so it's a glass coating,
Yeah,
right? Like I'm never gonna say it's gonna last however long because it's all gonna depend
wipers.
on right,
Mhm.
right,
If
right.
you're city, if you're highway,
But
if you're
here's what I'll tell you. So I have a client's car. June was 2 years ago that he bought it, and I coated it with Singular Bliss and Clarity on the glass. In June of this year, I did. Now I wash it every week. I mainly do kind of like a waterless wash or rinseless wash on it because it's never really dirty, dirty. But June of this year, I actually and I had done a few like hand washes to or foaming washes to it since, but because he had made the comment like, "Hey, it's been 2 years and we've never done the interior. I want to do the interior." And I said, "Okay, well then I'll do your weekly wash while it's there." And the beading on the glass at 2 years was still phenomenal. But
that's
I've
impressive.
also done other cars in 6 months. it's a little bit iffy. I've done cars at a year, it still looks great. I've got installers that have told me that they're getting 12 months, year and a half, 8 months. So again, it's all going to depend, I think, on how, obviously, like everything, right? Like how it's maintained, how it's used.
Yeah.
Um, so I try not to say it'll last this long. I can just tell you, like, I've seen it
It'll
go anywhere
work.
from 6 months to 2 years.
It'll work
You know?
until it doesn't.
Exactly, exactly. Which I think is how every coding should be.
Yeah.
Because again, our 5 year coding, like realistically, if the person doesn't take care of it, doesn't maintain it properly, and doesn't do all the right stuff, like there's a chance it doesn't last, or not 5 years, 6 years. There's a chance it doesn't last 6 years, right? Um, so yeah, I will tell you that those coatings that I've have that are like, especially that gentleman that's 2 years plus now, I have never put a topper on his car. I've never put one of our toppers on it ever.
That's
And
impressive.
it still beads nice. Um, then we have so those are kind of like our coatings. So the wheel coating, the glass coating, oh no, I'm sorry. So I did forget. We do have my favorite, and I can't believe I forgot it. It is my absolute favorite coating for our professionals. It is Freestyle. Freestyle is a multi surface coating or a multi substrate coating. So meaning you can put it on glass, you can put it on paint, you can put it on wheels, you can put it on trim, you can put it on PPF. So you could do all of that with one coating. So in doing so, when the chemist came up with it, he could only get it 2 years, in the laboratory testing, right? So when we were, when he said, "Hey, do you guys want this?" Because if not, he's going to go to the next person with it. He said, "Hey, if you guys do you guys want this or whatever?" And we were kind of like, "Well, how do we use it? We already have a 3 year. Like, how do we sell it 2 year when we have a 3 year?" And yeah, it's multi-substrate, but like how good are those really? Um, so I tried it out. This would have been March of last year. So we're like a year and a half in or whatever since the first car I ever put it on. And so the whole reason I wanted to release Freestyle was not for us to have another coating, but for us to have a weapon for our installers to combat the $400, $500 coating guys that kind of like blew up, a couple of years ago
Yeah.
or whatever. And everybody was complaining like,
Hmm.
they're charging $300, they're charging $400, I can't compete, blah 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 blah. So the thing that I liked about that coating was because you could take a car and you could do a mild polish or one step, whatever, just, knock out majority of the swirls and scratches. Um, and then you could take that one bottle and you could do the whole car. And my thought process was the car that I did it on was a BMW, a black BMW M3 Competenzo. And again, it was brand new, so I just did a polish on it. I did a medium grade polish on it, one stepped it. I coated the glass, I coated the paint, I coated the wheels. It took me 6 hours. I was like, okay, I could literally charge the client $600. I can compete with that $400 to $600 guy, and I'm still making $100 an hour, right? Now that gives our installers ammunition. Hey,
Hmm.
here's a coating. You could do the whole car, and you're not having to buy a glass coating and a paint coating and a wheel coating and spend $300 plus, right? Here's one bottle. We sell it only in an 80 mil because of the fact that it does everything
Hmm.
we know you're going to use more, and we sell it for $180. We keep it under 200 bucks. We give you an 80 mil. It's definitely enough to do two of your husband's trucks, right? A big truck to do glass, paint, wheels,
Yeah.
front bumpers, tonneau covers, everything you could think of. It'll do at least two of those, no problem. Maybe
Wow.
two of those in a small car, and it's under $200. So again, you spend $180, you charge $600 for this thing. It takes you 6 hours to do. You're $200 an hour minus out your stuff, right? I tell our installers, do it at $1,000, do it at $1,200. You're still a little cheaper than the $1,500 to $2,000 that most people are trying to get for major coatings. Do it at 1,200 bucks. Then you're $200 an hour. You know, you're still only $180 for the product. Realistically, if you use half the bottle, you're $90 for the
Yep.
product, right? Um, so that was our coding that kind of, I feel like, gave our installers a fighting chance against the guys that are using the Amazon, knockoff, whatever, $25 bottle, and charging somebody 300 bucks, to
Now, do
do
you have to
a,
be authorized to get access to
so that
freestyle?
that one you do, that one is part of our pro line. And we because we thought about, like, do we make it available for everybody? But again, we wanted that for our pros to be able to have something to compete against. So we didn't want to make it available to everybody. And that one too is a little different because, so talking about Singular, right, where Singular flashes really fast, and but you want to wait till that towel dries. So it could be, depending on your humidity, it could be anywhere from 2 minutes to like 7 minutes. Freestyle is different. Freestyle could be anywhere from 2 minutes to 12 minutes because
Okay,
it really needs to set up and bond longer, but it's even easier to wipe off than Singular is.
cool.
I mean, I've got some guys that are like, Alex, I just wipe it one time and I get it all off. I don't need to come back with a second towel.
Wow.
So yes, the fact that it needs a longer set time, we just didn't want to put it out there for anybody to buy
Mm.
without having any kind of knowledge or training or whatever for it, because again, then if they just put it on and wipe it right off and it doesn't fully set up and bond the way that it needs to, then it's not going to perform, and then everybody's like, oh, that coating is absolute garbage and I wouldn't use it anymore or whatever. Um, so yeah, so that one's my favorite just because it's my money maker. I can charge somebody $1,000 to $1,200 and take 6 hours to do a car or a truck, and newer obviously if it's beat up, then I do charge a little bit more because of the correction aspect of it. Um, but then we kind of get into like our sealants. We have a couple of different sealants. So we have our pro sealant, which is our 6 to 8 month. And again, reason why it's pro is because, like most of the thicker sealants, when you spray it on, if you don't level it out right, it quote unquote streaks, which is really just high spotting, because you didn't level it down properly. And then we have like our 3 to 4 month sealant, which is open to everybody. Like anybody can buy that one. That one's actually a really nice sealant. I like that one. I specifically use that one a lot for like door jams, and like after I've cleaned wheels and I do my wipe down, I'll give it a spray of that stuff just to pop some gloss to it and everything. Um, so that's Synth Pro and Synth. Then we get into kind of like our car wash products. So this is where we kind of have multiples that I don't know why, other than they all work differently and can be used in different settings. So we just released our pH neutral soap, which we're all loving. Even our installers love it. The thing that we liked about it and we really wanted in a pH neutral soap, because I've always been, if anybody's ever listened to me, I'm always a soap is a soap kind of guy, because mostly they are. But we really wanted something that didn't leave a lot of residue behind. So we developed this one to kind of be that. So when you're rinsing off a car, you don't get a lot of that soap haze, especially like on the glass before you towel dry it or even after you towel dry it. And it smells really nice. We put like a really nice fragrance in it, so it almost kind of gives you a calming spa type smell to it. In fact, I had one of our installers he's a mobile guy, and he was washing a car, and some guys were doing lawn work, and the lawn guys were like, "Dude, what is that? That smells so good." so, so, so we feel like we did a good job with the scent on that one. So that's kind of our throw it in a foamer, throw it in a bucket, whatever. Then we have Reflex. Reflex is a little bit different. Reflex is a cleansing soap. So it actually has detergents in it that will actually clean the paint. And I didn't notice that in the beginning. The cool thing about Reflex is you could put it in a foamer, because it is a cleansing paint or a cleansing soap. It doesn't foam super much unless you like dump a ton in there. It doesn't foam a lot. You could use it in a bucket or you can use it as a rinseless. And since I do a lot of rinseless washes, I use it as rinseless. And one of the things that I always hated is I use auto fiber double flip towels for all my rinseless washes. And so no matter if I was using, insert whatever rinseless brand, because I probably have used a majority of all of them. When you're wiping rocker panels or underneath front lips or rear bumpers, and you get that dirt streak on there, and you throw it in the
Mm-hmm.
bucket, no matter how much you rub it on the grit guard, you get the dirt out, but the stain is always there. And
Mm-hmm.
even when you take the towels home and you wash them, the stain's always there. And I was like, man, it's a clean towel, but I feel like it's dirty.
Yeah.
And what I noticed, with Reflex was I did the back of an SUV. Obviously, that's always the dirtiest part of an SUV, right? I did the back of the SUV, and the double flip was dirty. I threw it in the bucket. I take my towel and I towel off the rear end. I put my hand in the bucket. I give it a little swoosh and I pull it out, and it's brand new. No dirt, no stain, no nothing on it. And that's when it clicked, because the chemist always said, like, it's a cleansing soap. It will clean the paint. And that's when it clicked for me, like, oh, this has a detergent in it. This is cleaning my double flips. So now my double flips stay so much cleaner, so much longer, that
It's
I
awesome.
bought a case of them because I was going through them so fast that now
You're
now
like, I'm gonna commit.
now I have to purposely throw them away and get a new one because it stays so clean. So the beauty of that is it was designed to clean the ceramic, not only clean the paint, but clean the ceramic. So you kind of get a nicer, cleaner feel to it and everything. I wouldn't say it's as strong as like a D scale, or a scale. Like I don't think it cleans like that. But for me here in Florida, like if I use it on a dirty car after a rainstorm, it will definitely clean lower rockers and doors and that type of stuff where you get all that spray kick-up. So that one's a really nice one. And again, I love it because you can use it as a rinseless. So I use it for like, you know, 75% of my cars because most of them are all ceramic coated. They don't get super daily driven, and I can do a rinseless in a garage or something like that. Then we do have two wet application sealants. One I'm a super fan of, one I'm becoming a fan of. So
Okay.
we have TLC, which is the one I'm becoming a fan of. It's our newer one, and it's a little more like budget friendly. And it's your typical spray on, spray off, but it leaves the paint super glossy and super slick, looking like there's a coating on there. And we're seeing 3 months easily out of it. Um, the one that I'm a huge fan of is a product called Gleam. It is a little different. It's a spray on, work it in. And the reason why is because with that one, when you work it in, you're creating a better coverage, and it works into the paint better. The reason why I like that one is because if you just use both of them to the eye, you'd be like, oh, well, they both spray off and hydrophobic and leave beads or whatever. With Gleam, if you touch the paint, I know everybody's like, don't touch the paint. But if you touch the paint, you can feel something on there. You can feel the coating. You can feel this thickness. Like to me, I almost equate it to like it feels rubbery, like PPF. Um, and that one I've gotten 4 months plus out of it. So that one is a little bit more my favorite. It is a little bit, um, not as budget friendly.
Okay.
So that's why I tell our installers and I tell anybody, like if I'm doing that higher end wash and wax where I'm charging 250, $300 for, I'm using Gleam. I'll spray Gleam on there because I know it's gonna like have a feel to it. If I just need a drying aid, you know, kind of like your bead makers and such or whatever, then I'm gonna use TLC because I think it's like $20 a bottle, you know, whereas Gleam's like $45 a bottle for a
Okay.
32 ounce, you know. Um, so it's cheaper for just as a drying aid to spray TLC on and power wash it off and leave a real nice finish, some nice slickness, gloss, and get 3 months, protectant. And you don't have to necessarily charge an arm and a leg. Like the two motorcycles I did today, because I wanted a drying aid, I sprayed them all down. I sprayed both of them down with TLC just because it makes it easier for me to dry it off. And again, at $20 for a 16-ounce bottle doesn't, it's pennies. Um,
Glossy Chris, let me ask you a question. So
yeah,
Glossy Chris wants to know, can you explain the process to become a pro installer with AquaTek?
yeah. So you could reach out to myself if you want to, or you can go on to the aquatechcoatings.com website. It will ask you, do you want to become an installer? It's basically going to ask you four questions: your name, your email address, your phone number, and your business name. Essentially, what happens is usually either myself or Jerry Grant, who's one of the other sales advisors or sales reps. We have two other guys, I think. I don't know. I haven't talked to them in a while. They were helping us out. But one of us will call you, and I mean we're pretty lax. We just want to make sure that you've got experience with, professional grade coatings. We want to make sure that you just didn't, go down the Walmart yesterday and get a bucket of starter, car wash stuff, we just try to like, ask you some questions to kind of see what you're looking for and if this is for you. And if it is for you, then great. We get you signed up. We do some things we feel a little different because again we are detailers. I don't want to sound cheesy in the FUBU because it's for us by us like everybody uses, but we are detailers, right? So when we came up with how to become an installer, we thought like, okay, as detailers, like how do we want, right? And so everybody's like, oh, you got to go to a training, you got to pay $750, you got to go to training, got to go to training. We've all used ceramic coatings. I mean, for the most part, they all apply the same. It's just, looking for that flash, looking for that bond time and things like that. Mike, right there working on the yellow McLaren, I think that is. He has a great line. I don't know if he came up with it. I don't know if he stole it, but he has a great line. When you buy a new car, they don't make you retake your driver's test. So if you've had experience with coatings, we're not going to make you go to a training. Like we just want to make sure you understand and everything. And we pretty much, approve people that way. The thing that we do is that we wanted for as installers ourselves that we tried to put on is so when you sign up to become an installer, we give you a 20% off coupon for your first order because we're like, everybody wants to try stuff, but they don't want to spend a bunch of money because they're not sure about it, right? So
Hmm.
they always just buy one bottle of coating. But maybe they wanted to try Bliss with it. Maybe they wanted to try the wheel coating. Maybe they wanted to try this. But they don't want to spend a lot of money. So hey, let's give you a 20% off coupon. The more you spend, the more you save. Things start becoming free at that point, right? Um, so we do that. We do a point system. So for every dollar you spend, you earn a point. When you get to 2,000 points, your next order is automatically 10% off. And again, when you sign up, we start you off with 200 points. We gift you that. And then the big one that I think is I mean, you go 20% off is huge. 200 points for free is huge. I think the biggest one that most detailers like is all orders over $100 in the United States, the continental United States, are free shipping. I mean, that's huge. I mean, that could be 12, 15. depending on, where you're at, how much you order and everything. So we do these little things because again, we're installers. We're business minded. We all work in shops with the exception of Jason. We all still run businesses. Um, so yeah, it's pretty simple. It's pretty easy to become an installer with us. Again, as long as you didn't start yesterday, and as long as you have some coding experience with some professional coding brand or something like that, um, it's pretty easy to use.
Okay. Well, cool. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully you guys don't have any more questions for Alex. I think honestly you've covered on everything as far as the products, how to become an installer.
Yeah.
I will definitely be reviewing some of your products over at Attention to Detail. So just make sure you guys stay tuned over there. But Alex, thank you for
Yeah.
taking the time to come on and share with us a little bit about AquaTek.
No, I appreciate you for having me on. And listen, I mean, for everybody who's still listening at this point, if anybody wants to try any of our stuff and they just want to buy it through the enthusiast store and don't want to fully sign up for the pro grade stuff, you can use the coupon Chelsea10 and it'll save you 10% off when you check out. So any of our enthusiast line, which basically is everything except for Freestyle, GT, Bliss, Synth Pro, and Singular. So it's select which you've used and then all of our maintenance. Oh, I forgot if I could add real quick. So we also do have 4 new products along with the pH neutral soap. We also have a alcohol-free panel prep, which our guys really love because it doesn't flash off very fast, so it gives them time to actually wipe the panels, and it does a really good job getting, especially even those really oily based compounds and polishes. We also have a alcohol-free glass cleaner, which is for the mobile guys is great because you can use it in direct sunlight. I actually did a video on our installer page where I parked my wife's car out in the sun and I hit it with a thermal meter and it was registering 137 degrees on the glass. And
Wow.
I sprayed it and wiped it. Not only did it clean, it was outside glass. So not only did it clean all the dirt and the bugs off of it, it didn't streak. So that's been the beauty of
I will
that
be
is,
checking that out because
yeah, and I believe we sent you some.
yeah.
So, um, and then TLC, which is the spray on, spray off, is our other new product. So those are the 4 new products that we just came out with a couple of months ago, which have been getting a lot of really good feedback from our installers. So yeah, so any of that on the enthusiast store, if any of your listeners or watchers or whatever, want to try something out, when you go to checkout, just use the code Chelsea10 and you'll save 10%.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for
Yeah,
doing that. You didn't have
yeah,
to.
yeah.
But
We
yeah,
appreciate you letting us come on and pitch our stuff.
well, I'm looking forward to seeing more content from you guys and to see more of these codings and products. Where do you guys see yourself growing and going in the next like 5 years?
Oh man, we've always kind of had the mindset of kind of being boutiquey. I mean, like we're not necessarily trying to be, and no offense to these guys, but we're not trying to be like an IGL or Ceramic Pro or with like 6,000 plus installers. I mean, it would be great, obviously, yeah, but we like the boutique kind of feel to it. Keep it kind of small. Keep it um, you know quantity over quality in a sense. So it's really, the next 5 years is just to continue to hopefully come out with really good products that, fit in a market that, like you said, is already oversaturated, but stuff that kind of fits our business model, which is making it easy, making it quick, making it efficient for our installers. That's the whole thing. And that was the whole thing of, being a singular product and making it easy to use and having a quick cure time with it is so that you didn't have to necessarily sit with a car in your shop for multiple days to cure out. You could get it out quick. You could get that next one in. And so therefore, by being efficient, it makes our installers more money or the people who buy our products. So it's continuing on with that, finding new products that live up to our expectations and are super easy to use and are real efficient and are going to make our installers or anybody who buys them the money that they need to make. So that's kind of really where we see ourselves going.
What is the cure time on Select?
So pretty much all of our coatings, I kind of tell everybody like however you are using your coating now, because most coatings are always kind of the same. So pretty much
Some
all of
some
our
are 1, some are 4, some are 6, some are 12, some are 24.
yeah, so I tell people like this. Within an hour, it's going to start tacking up. Realistically, if you had to get the car out, perfect conditions, by all means, you could. 4 hours, right? It's going to be better because if it gets rained on or whatever, it's not, you still would want to wipe it off, but it's not end of the world. It's not going to mess up the coating. 24 hours is, usually what I recommend. I like to keep the vehicle 24 hours. I also tell clients too, like, hey, look, it gives me a chance to come back in the next day with fresh eyes to look at it, make sure it's all, right. There's not a high spot that I missed, and, whatever, right? Um, and in your 7 to 10 days, you're going to pretty much have a 70 to 80% cure. And then 30 days plus, you're going to have full cure. So that's how I like to tell anybody is, realistically, if you can hold it for 24 hours, that's the best bet. Because after 24 hours, if it gets rained on, if it gets a bug hit on it or whatever, it's not going to mess with it. But again, that 1 to 4 hour, you could move it out of your shop if you needed to, hopefully, ideal situations, no rain, no snow, you know, no acts of God, whatever.
Well, Chris is saying video this stuff next couple weeks, Chelsea. I will try to do my best.
Yeah.
But Alex, do you guys have social media
So
places for
we
people to go
do
and see?
we are bigger on Instagram because Mike does the social media and Mike is a Instagram hoe, if I can say that. So on Instagram we're Aquatech Coatings. We are the same on Facebook, and realistically, now that Instagram and Facebook link, whenever he puts something on Instagram, it does go on the Facebook. We do have a YouTube channel. You'll have to forgive me. I believe it's just Aquatech Coatings. I didn't start that. Jen Turcott actually started it when she was working with us. And I don't really know if there's a lot of content on there. I know Mike has put up some how-tos and some um, like informational about some of our different products and everything on there, but there's not a lot. And then we do have Aquatech Coatings on TikTok, and we are working on a TikTok shop to kind of sell these consumables because we feel like TikTok is a little bit of that untapped market right now. And where we're coming from, a lot of the Facebook detailers, and I hate to like say Facebook detailers, Instagram detailers, TikTok detailers, but most of the guys that have been, in it for since the beginning of coatings are kind of like those Facebook detailers. And they kind of like give us our props, but they've also been using, whatever brand they've been using for the last however many years. And if it ain't broke, they don't want to fix it. So we look at TikTok as the ability to catch those
New.
the new
Hmm.
incoming, the younger. I mean, we've got a couple of installers that like one is freshly graduated high school, and the other one I think is a senior this year. I mean, he's like 17. The other one just turned 18, and he's actually the 18-year-old's actually been installing our coating since he was like 15 and a half, 16 years old. I mean, he's been with it for
For
a while.
half of his life.
Yeah, I mean the kid, I give it to the kid. I mean he is just dedicated to his business. I had him on my podcast and he's like, look, he's like, I don't like going to football games, I don't like going to parties. He goes, I get out of school, I go home, I work. I work till 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. We did a joint training at Gloucester University a few months back, and he drove, at 18 years old, he drove from Virginia to Chicago to train with Maddie and Dave at Gloucester University, and then get hands on with our coatings and everything. So yeah, I mean we've got these younger kids, we've got these younger detailers that are coming in, and we're trying to maybe reach them more than the old crusty guys that are set in their ways.
Do you guys have any plans on being at any training seminars or SEMA or anything like that that people can put their hands on their products?
Yeah, so we're not going to SEMA this year because we're trying to save the money because we've got another round of products that hopefully when we get these samples here shortly, and if they work, we want to try to release those by the end of the year. So we're gonna skip SEMA, but Jerry Grant will be at SEMA, kind of doing the AquaTek thing, and he's gonna have we don't so we won't have a booth, but I think he's gonna have some stuff to like you know I don't know if he's gonna have stuff to give away or stuff to show or whatever. We will be at MTE. We do have a booth at MTE. We are actually going to be right across from the paint correction competition because I am involved with that. So Sheldon has been very nice and given us booth space, so I don't have to run too far to be back and forth between both of them. So MTE, we will be there. We don't have any more training set up for the end of this year. We did have such a good response with Gloucester University that we talked with Maddie about possibly doing something springtime in Chicago again. So we're just waiting to kind of get through the craziness of SEMA to try to plan that. Where and when we do those, it's so like with Gloucester University, we don't get anything out of it other than hopefully new installers. It's something for us to kind of either give back to people who are interested in going to Gloucester University and also maybe doing a coding because they don't do a lot of they don't train on coding. So if they're gonna do something, they partner, and Maddie and I have been friends for years, so he's like, I'd rather partner with you guys. And we also feel like for our installers, we don't want to make our installers come to a coding training, but hey, if we can give you the opportunity to come to a really cool training like Gloucester University and get some hands-on training with us. That's what we prefer to do. Now that Noxie's doing AG, we probably won't do any more joint trainings with him. We did two, one earlier this year in March with him up at Reds, and one last year at Reds. So that's kind of our thing. We like to try to not say, hey, this is an Aquatech training, come to Aquatech training, get certified, yada, 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 whatever, coding, coding, coding. We'd rather partner with somebody so whoever comes to it is getting a better benefit out of it than just a certificate to order coatings. Like we
Got it.
want to we want to partner with a company or a brand that's actually going to be able to give the installers value and help their business in paint correction or business coaching or whatever. And then we're just kind of that icing on the cake. Hey, well, you're here, get certified kind of thing.
It's very refreshing to hear from a professional ceramic coating company like that. Most of
Yeah.
them are that's I think what's deterred me from many pro grade companies that I have to go to an event just to become certified
Yeah.
to spend my money with you.
Right, right. Well, and again, that's like I said, Mike's saying, and again, I don't know if he stole it or if he came up with it, but just because you buy a new car, they don't make you retake your driver's test. So as long as you've have experience with a pro grade coating, no matter what it is. I mean, if it's the stuff that, you guys use or push or sell, or, the big ones, Ceramic Pro and IGL and whatever, it doesn't matter, as long as you have that experience, as long as you know how to lay it down, like, we're comfortable with saying, okay, our coding is so easy to use, as long as you've got some experience with it, here you go, off and running.
Last question. High
Yeah.
spot, will it be fixed with polish or just a dab of coating within 12 hours?
So in 12 hours, you could really kind of just polish it. I'll be honest with you, I haven't tried. like reactivating it with our coating. Um, so maybe try it for me and tell me. But
If I
no,
have any.
usually I just, I get a little bit of, my go-to is
Polish.
Oberk Sole. I just get a little bit of Sole and put it on a microfiber towel and just lightly rub it by hand.
Okay.
Because usually if I'm leaving a high spot, it's pretty small. I don't need to get the polisher out and polish it. Again, Bliss, I don't know in a 12-hour period if Bliss would do. The longest I've removed a high spot with Bliss was about 2.5 hours. I overlapped on a black car coming down the rear pillar and then going up the rear quarter. I overlapped and didn't notice it, and I left a high spot, and I didn't notice it till I pulled it outside to check it in the sun, and I just went and put a little bit of Bliss on the applicator, rubbed it over there, and toweled it off, and gone. Um,
Nice.
so I don't know if Bliss will do after 12 hours because again, it does start curing up in like 4 hours or so. But yeah, polish or remove it and not do any damage to the actual coating.
Cool. All right. Well, Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to share with
No,
us
thank you.
AquaTek. I will definitely be keeping my eyes and ears open to see any new products that you guys have coming out. But everyone, thank you so much for tuning in with us tonight and for hanging out. And Alex, we'll see you online. But if people want to find you, can you just repeat one more time where to find you on social media?
Yeah, so for AquaTek, it's pretty much just AquaTek Coatings, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. For me, it's Alex Russell on Facebook. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really do a lot of Facebooking anymore. So if you try to friend request me and I don't approve you right away, it's mostly because I'm tired of Facebook. On Instagram, I am A Russell, that's Russell 5150. I'm on there sparingly, and then TikTok, I pretty much am just on there for funny comedy sketches, so I don't really interact with anybody on TikTok.
Do you
So
have an email that they can email you at?
yes. So email is arussell5150 @yahoo.com, or you can try Alex at aquatechcoatings.com.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you guys have it. Hopefully, we've been able to answer all of your questions about AquaTek. Honestly, I think you've got some really interesting sounding products there.
Yep.
And hopefully you guys will just continue to grow. I wish you guys nothing but success.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on. This was fun. We haven't talked in a while since last time you were on my podcast. So,
We talked like last week for a
well,
half an
I
hour.
mean, come on, I'm trying to do it for the people.
It's been so long, Alex. It was so good to see you.
Well, I mean, like this. I mean, we haven't done one of
I know.
these since
I
last
know.
time you were on
We
my
never have a
podcast.
short conversation. I will say
Yes,
that.
I know.
Anytime I'm
I
on the
know.
phone with you, it's like at minimum
I know.
30 minutes to an hour.
I know.
So,
That's why I'm always like, hey, you got time to talk because I know I know it's always gonna be an hour.
all right. Well, thank you
Have a
guys for
good
hanging
night.
out with us. We'll see you next week right here at the House of Rags YouTube channel, 7 p.m. But we'll see you guys next one.
Thanks everybody. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Take care.
If you guys have watched this podcast episode all the way through to the end, thank you so much for watching. If you like the podcast, make sure you give us a thumbs up. If you really like the podcast, make sure you subscribe and hit that notify bell so that way you don't miss out on any of our future podcast episodes. If you're listening on any of our podcast streaming platforms, make sure you leave us a review and let us know what more you want to hear of in the future so that way we can make sure that we bring on the guests and discuss the content that you guys want to hear. But thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you next Wednesday right here at the House of Rags YouTube channel. Have a great night.